Hey, what's good, YouTube? This is my fourth video of the day. Actually, it's nighttime now. It's really dark outside. The sprinklers are going on. Sorry if you're hearing them. Uh, there's another video that I actually wanted to post, tonight. And I wanted to talk about coming out stories. It's been a while since I've heard a coming out story. Mine isn't all that special. I feel like a lot of people's are, but I'm going to share mine with you guys. So, my coming out story started when I was 16 years old. I was in high school. I had this English teacher. She was one of my favorite teachers. And one day, she came to me, she took me outside the classroom and literally asked me permission to show this video. And she told me what it was about, but I had no idea. At the time, I didn't know what transgender was. I only knew what gay, bisexual, and lesbian was. I didn't know that transgender was a thing. Like, I was completely innocent growing up. Like, I had no idea what any of that stuff was. Like, my parents never taught me, my siblings never taught me any of that stuff. Like, I just never was around that stuff, you know? But, yeah. So she explained the video to me, and I was like, okay, sure. And she told me, like, she didn't want to offend me or anything, because I know, like, back in high school, I dressed like a boy. I was very masculine. I occasionally dressed up girly for my friends or my mom, or, you know, just to make people happy, pretty much. Like, I would dress up girly. But, for the most part, I was very tomboyish. Like, I hated wearing girl clothes. Like, guy clothes was where it was at for me. It felt the most comfortable in my skin, and it was who I was, who I am, you know. But yeah, so she asked me permission, and I was like, sure. I didn't even know what she was talking about, but so I go and I watch this video, right? And it's actually here on YouTube. You guys can look it up. I don't know if I could post a link in the description, but I will try. It's called Here, and it's a poem about transgendered youth, and it's about this boy named James. Well, I mean, I guess in all aspects, it's about this girl named Melissa who wanted to be this boy named James, and they were one. They were one person. And I was watching this video in class, and I was like my whole world turned upside down. Like, that's me. That's who I am. Like, that's me. Like, and before I even knew it, like, I was going by different names in high school. Like, in high school, I went by Chris. It was just a thing for me. Like, Chris was my name. Hawkins was one of them. I went by Hawkins. I would go by Sadie, too. But that's not really a boy name, I feel like. But it also wasn't a girl name to me. Like, it was just a name that wasn't my birth name, you know? It was a name that wasn't my birth name, I guess. And that's how I felt about it. So, after I watched this video, I did some research, and I was looking up, what is this transgender thing? What's it all about? Like, how do people go through it? What's the process, you know? And I'm researching all this stuff, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, that's exactly how I feel about myself. Like, that's who I am. That's me. And suddenly, I had this girlfriend way back in the day in high school. and I was talking to her about it, and I think she was the first person that I actually came out to. I was talking to her about it, and, you know, at the time I was going through therapy and stuff, and I was talking to her about it, and she was completely okay with it. Like, I told her, I was like, hey, what if I wanted to be a guy? Like, would you call me your boyfriend? Like, would you be okay with that? And she was like, yeah. What do you want your name? Like, what do you want me to call you? And I thought about it for a minute, and I was like, well, Christian Pierce. That's what I want to be called. I want to be called Christian Pierce. Chris for short. And so that's what she would call me. And she would call me her boyfriend, and like it made me feel good. Like, it made me feel like me and not somebody that I wasn't, you know. And then I came out to my mother, and she she was, my mother at that age, she was a church woman. She was very Christian. She was all about her church stuff, you know, and I feel like that had a lot to do with the reason why she neglected the fact that I was trans. She came up with every excuse in the book, like, I wanted to please girls the way that they wanted to be pleased. I just didn't want to have my period anymore. This, that, and the third, you know, like, it was just everything, like, everything you could think of. She came up with it, and I was just like, no, that's not it. Like, I really don't feel comfortable in my skin, and, like, I am a guy, like, that's how I feel about myself. And she just wouldn't accept it, and so I let it go. I let it go for 5 years. And, you know, for those 5 years, I spent my time trying to impress people, trying to make other people happy, trying to, you know, let people see me the way that they saw me. And I remember those 5 years, I was depressed, I was self-harming, I wasn't myself, you know, and I was unhappy. I was this very unhappy person. And, I just, one day, got sick of not being able to express who I was. And I remember I turned 20, and soon after that, I came back out to my mom, and same thing. She, pretty much, she disowned me for a while. It wasn't a very long while, though, but she didn't want anything to do with me. She stopped talking to me for a minute, and after that, like, I tried talking to her, and she was just like, hey, I'm sorry, I love you, and I'm gonna try, and all this stuff, and she did, you know, as the years grew. She really put a lot of effort into trying to use my name that I picked out. She really tried to call me by my pronouns and everything, and I remember, well, I don't exactly remember, but I know that the first time she called me her son, I cried like a baby. Um, it was one of the most empowering moments in my life, because my mom, she's my best friend. Like, I'm a mama's boy, and I'm proud of it. Like, feeling like I lost my mom was probably one of the worst things I had ever felt in my life, because she was the person, or she's still the person that I always go to and talk to and vent my problems to, and she does the same with me, and I know that I can go to her with anything. But now I know that I can go to her with literally anything, because now she's comfortable with who I am and knows who I am and accepts it. And it was really hard to get to that point, because I remember when I had my first appointment, my first appointment to get onto T, she was standoffish about it, and she was asking me, like, What if you regret it later on? What if when you sing it doesn't sound the same? What if you wake up one day and you don't recognize yourself? All of this stuff, and I was like, if that happens, then I will cross that bridge when I get there. Like, right now, this is how I feel about myself. And obviously it hasn't changed because I've been this way for 2.5 years, y'all. And I'm feeling great about myself. Like, I have never been so confident in my transition until this year, actually. I mean, sometimes, yeah, I do get a little self-conscious and stuff, but I mean, those things happen, you know, like, you look at a guy and you're like, I'm never gonna be that. Like, that's never gonna be me. Like, it's... Sometimes you just feel so unreal in your skin because everything that you do for yourself is cosmetic and through medicine, that it feels unreal to you. Like you feel like you're not a real person anymore. And it's really hard to explain, you guys. Like, I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but I do. Like, I feel like when I look at a guy, a cisgendered guy, he has more to offer than I do. And when I look at myself, I'm like, I still have breasts, I still have a fucking vagina, and I'm still a pre-op transgender male. Like, I basically am a female, and it makes me feel like shit because I wasn't born a man. And because I wasn't born a man, it makes me feel like I'm this fake-ass person. Like, I have to geneticize myself, or uh, I have to go through cosmetics just to make myself who I feel like I'm supposed to be. And it really makes me feel like I'm not a real person. Um, but at the same time, you know, if I do go through my surgeries, I mean, I've been on T for 2.5 years. I feel more man than I have felt like in years. But that doesn't excuse the fact that it still makes me feel like I'm not a real person because I have to go through this stupid fucking process that wasn't born to me. Like, God just decided, hey, this is how you were gonna be born, and you're just gonna have to deal with it, pretty much. And I did deal with it. I dealt with it for 20 years of my life. And it didn't it didn't feel good, you guys. And I know most of you out there feel the same way. Like, you went through this, you were fucking female or male, depending on your transition, for however many years of your life. And at some point, if you decided to transition further on in life, you still have those habits. You still have those features and those, you know, those attributes that make you feel like you're opposite gender still. And I guess I feel like that's okay because when you're born, you're opposite gender. It's programmed in your head to be that person, you know? And then you learn that you're something else. You're on a whole nother level. And now you're like, now I have to think this way because that's how I feel about myself. But it's not about... I'm going on to a whole different subject. But, it's not about not being your opposite gender, because guys are feminine too sometimes, and girls are very masculine too sometimes, whether they're fucking lesbian, gay, or whatever. I've seen a lot of feminine men who are straight, and I've seen a lot of masculine women who are straight. And I feel like it has nothing to do with that. I feel like it's just who you are, and you should be okay with that. Like, I know that that's who I am, and I'm okay with it. Like, I'm very masculine, but I know that I have some feminine attributes in my personality that sometimes make me feel uncomfortable, but for the most part, I know who I am and I'm okay with that. I'm sorry this video is so long. But so yeah, that was my coming out story and how I feel about it and all that stuff. If you guys want to share your guys' coming out stories, feel free to leave a comment or response video or anything like that. Like, let me know. I want to hear your guys' stories too. Um, Something that I like to hear a lot. Like, I haven't heard a coming out story in a while, and I kind of just I wanna know how awe-inspiring your guys' story is, because I know that mine's not all that great and everything, but it means something to me, just like yours means something to you. So let's hear those stories. Let's get them out there. Let's share with the world how we feel about ourselves and our experiences and stuff. Let's do it. All right, bye guys. Bye.